Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
We won't forget the blood that's on his cruiser! We won't forget the blood that's on his cruiser!
It's been more than 2 years since a New Britain mother was hit and killed by a police officer, and her family is speaking up. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. The family's furious that the officer involved is now back on duty in another city, though. Protesters rallied outside the Middletown Police Department tonight as they're demanding accountability.
They're calling for that officer to be removed from the force. Fox 61's Kate Pattyfoot was there and has the story.
The state's attorney's office determined last summer there was not enough evidence to prosecute Ryan. She has now been working for the Middletown Police Department since August.
Accountability now! Accountability now!
Family and friends of Catherine Cologne rallied near the Middletown Police Department Thursday night. They say they are against Connor Reinsch being a police officer in a city that pays police officers high salaries.
Just a day shy of her 2-year anniversary, we were given notice that Connor Reinsch was sworn in to Middletown Police Department without our knowledge, secretly, and we're against him being an officer altogether.
Investigators say Reinsch ran over the New Britain mother of 4 in September 2023. At the time, he was an officer with New Britain Police and was on his way to a burglary. A report by the state's attorney's office said there was not enough evidence to charge the officer with manslaughter. Those who support Reinsch say it's time to move on and heal.
He was on a call to a burglary. He was speeding, but that cops have to speed sometimes when they go. She was in dark clothing. She was intoxicated. It's a terrible, tragic accident that happened. He wasn't at fault. He let it go.
I'm sickened to see all the negativity towards Officer Reinsch. Right, sorry. But he was doing his job. God, tragedy. He was not charged. You know.
It's disgusting for them to say that. He was found at fault for the accident. He was speeding excessively without his lights or sirens on. So how can we get over the fact that there's an officer getting paid with our tax dollars to be an officer and speed up and down these streets?
A handful of people showed up to support Cologne's family and voice how they feel about the situation. Cologne's family says they will continue speaking up until justice is served. And for them, that looks like Connor Reinsch being charged and not a police officer. In Middletown, Kate Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
All right, time now for a first look at the weather. It was a beautiful sunny fall day today, maybe a little brisk this morning, but there's a warm up on the way.
A little windy out there. We have to get through another chilly morning as well. Yeah. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for our first look at the forecast. Rachel?
Yeah, that warm up will arrive this weekend, but as Sarah mentioned, we still have 2 chilly nights ahead with areas of patchy frost for our typical cooler spots tonight, and then a better chance inland with 30s across most of the state tomorrow night into Saturday morning. We also have the breeze for one more day, although I promise tomorrow won't be as windy as today. You are still noticing the wind. Earlier, we had gusts up to as high as 35 miles per hour, so the winds have come down a little bit from earlier, but again, you're still noticing it. Overnight lows will be right around the 40-degree mark, upper 30s for some of our typical cooler spots and outlying areas. And tomorrow, here's the good news. Again, we've got blue skies from start to finish. Instead of gusts up to 35 miles per hour, we'll see gusts up to about 20. So baby steps towards getting that wind to calm down, and temperatures will be a few degrees milder than today, up around 60 degrees. We'll talk about the warmer temps for this weekend coming up.
Rachel, thank you. 3 people are dead and 3 others are injured after a crash in Prospect. State police say a driver in a pickup truck tried to pass a Tesla on Route 69 when it clipped the car and sent it into oncoming traffic, where it crashed with another truck. The Tesla's driver, who was identified as a 57-year-old from Florida, and a 24-year-old passenger from Prospect died at the scene. A third victim was taken to the hospital, where they later died. Neighbors say speeding and poor visibility make that stretch of Talmadge Hill Road especially dangerous.
And an elderly woman is dead after being hit by a car in East Hartford. This happened near the intersection of Silver Lane and Forbes Street, which is steps from Sunset Ridge School. Police say the crash happened around 5:15 this morning. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver stayed there and was cooperating with police. The intersection was closed for hours. The neighbors say this area sees a lot of foot traffic, but they worry that drivers who speed through that area treat it like a raceway.
And new here at 10, former WWE CEO Vince McMahon has been granted entry into a pretrial program after a crash this past summer in Connecticut. Police say McMahon rear-ended a car on the Merritt Parkway. No one was hurt, and a judge says if McMahon pays a $1,000 donation and drives only while licensed and insured, charges will be dropped in a year. McMahon's attorney called it just an accident and not a crime. Well, tomorrow the community is expected to hold a vigil for 11-year-old Jacqueline Mimi Torres Garcia. It'll be at New Bright Plaza in New Britain starting at 4 p.m.
Jacqueline's remains were found more than a week ago at an abandoned home. Police arrested her mother, aunt, and the mother's boyfriend. Investigators say Jacqueline was likely malnourished and abused and was killed last fall. New Britain's mayor says Jacqueline was last listed as being homeschooled.
And her death has once again put a spotlight on Connecticut's lack of regulation when it comes to students who are homeschooled.
Where we have not improved yet is how we follow up on children who are permanently withdrawn from school for the stated purpose of homeschooling.
Now, on Tuesday, we told you about a report from the state's child advocate in 2017. In it were several recommendations for state agencies, including DCF, after the death of Matthew Tirado. Police say the 17-year-old was documented as being homeschooled before he died from abuse and neglect. Fox 61's Annette Montgomery joins us in studio now. And Annette, I know today you spoke with Sarah Egan, who was the child advocate at the time.
Yeah, so Annette, does she have any recommendations for something, especially after what happened 8 years ago?
She had several recommendations, and when it comes to whether it's been applied, it really depends on what recommendations we're talking about. Egan acknowledged since 2017 the state has improved its ability to track chronic absenteeism and improved how it tracks students who move from one district to another. But where she says Connecticut is still lacking and falls behind many other states is how agencies follow up on students who are pulled from a school district for the purpose of homeschooling.
Connecticut is one of only a handful of states in the country that do not have an express framework for follow-up on children who have been permanently withdrawn from school.
In 2025, Sarah Egan is mirroring the same sentiments after the death of 11-year-old Jacqueline Mimi Torres Garcia that she did back in 2017 in this 84-page investigative report.
I think it does again raise the question of how do we protect the most vulnerable children in our society. People who are homeschooling have made a decision that's right for their child and their family. It's really about how do systems talk to each other when children are removed for other purposes.
One recommendation included in the Office of the Child Advocate's report that still hasn't been applied 8 years later is this one: improving the safety net for children who are withdrawn from school for the purpose of homeschooling.
Safeguards can and must be put in place to ensure that other individuals who have no intention of homeschooling do not use the guise of homeschooling as a way to hide their children from child welfare authorities. Right? And so I do give a lot of credit to the governor's office for continuing to urge consideration and resolution of that, but we have not yet finalized that.
While Egan made it clear there's not a direct correlation between a child being abused and being homeschooled, she believes the lack of regulation in the state for students who are homeschooled makes it easier for Connecticut children to go unnoticed. Back in 2017, the OCA referred to state agencies as working in silos. And in 2025, Egan says that still hasn't changed.
I think we're still operating in different silos here, right? Because we continue to see year in, year out examples of children who have been pulled away from public view and been subjected to terrible abuse and neglect.
All right, so Annette, we're talking about the lack of regulation here in Connecticut. When was the last time the state updated or changed its homeschooling laws.
Well, the State Department of Education did tell me that Connecticut's laws and regulations surrounding homeschool documentation have remained unchanged for the past 20 to 25 years, and they are governed by statute, not the Department of Education.
So is this something that we could see change anytime soon?
Egan does tell me homeschooling regulations were looked at in the last legislative session, and she does know lawmakers have committed to looking at it again this session.
And I know that off camera I asked you, I said, wait, what do other states look like? Are we one of the few, or what's going on?
Connecticut's one of between 8 to 11 states in the country that have no regulations when it comes to homeschooling at all.
Okay, so it's not uncommon across the country. All right, thank you, Annette. Some state lawmakers have been pretty vocal about their reactions to the death of little Jackie Torres Garcia.
In a joint statement, Democratic State Senator Cece Marr and Democratic Representative Corey Paris said, quote, "This horrific situation should not have happened, and we are angry to hear that our state systems did not protect Jacqueline." They go on to say, "It's clear that DCF did not meet the moment here, and we need answers as to how and why this happened, as well as assurances that we can make certain it never happens again."
Meanwhile, Republican State Senator Rob Sampson also said in a statement, quote, "The state's focus should be on accountability within DCF, not on punishing families who are doing their best to provide a safe and quality education for their children." We have both parts of Annette's story. She gets into more details on our free Fox 61 News app at fox61.com and on Fox 61 Plus. Remember, you can download Fox 61 Plus right now on your smart TV and watch us for free. We have some breaking news tonight. Rock legend Ace Frehley has died.
Yeah, Frehley was the original guitarist and founding member of the rock band Kiss. He passed away today in a hospital in New Jersey after he was taken off life support. Frehley had been suffering from a brain bleed after falling in his studio a few weeks ago. The Bronx-born guitarist, who was born Paul Daniel Frehley, helped found Kiss back in 1973. The group is known for rock classics like Rock and Roll All Night and Detroit Rock City. He left Kiss in 1982, rejoined the band in 1996, and then stayed until 2002.
Aside from his lead guitar licks, he also lent his voice to Kiss songs like Into the Void and Shock Me. Frehley also enjoyed a nearly 5-decade solo career that produced classics like his cover of New York Groove. His most recent album, 10,000 Volts, was released in 2023. He was 74 years old.